All right, well the score is now tied 1-1. Hunter having 1 and Shooflypi also having 1. So intense times. We'll see. You guys are welcome to change your commanders around or keep them as they are. All right, Shooflypi decided to go with Quartermaster with that basic attack. And CHEWBACCA going to stay with what's worked for him so far, except in that last match, with that Bella feed.
Well, that's a very interesting matchup right here, because I think Quartermaster plays out the best against the Bella feed, because Bella feed has no actual mean to avoid this.
I think that's a good point where both of the other commanders, both Archimedes and Hopper, have a way to deal with the constant harass that comes from the Quartermaster. But Bellafeed just has to sit there, take the damage, and hope that his extra food will bring him through the game and potentially win. It looks like
Correct.
Hunter is going for a fairly structure-heavy deck, and then just one of each tier for his units. Does pick some of the more versatile units, so I think he does have a shot at this game. But it's...
There's...
Go ahead.
Okay. There is this little weakness in his set, that one unit will not work all that well with the structures. Lizards just don't mix with turrets and barbed wire because they also have to get into the front. I think Squirrels would have been a better pick for this situation.
They probably would be better, yes. Although, when I personally play a structure-heavy deck, I do like the speed of lizards to get out on the map and pose a threat that way.
I think they also have another advantage. They win early game fights. That means he will have a little power spike in the early game, which provides him with the necessary survivability to get into the late game at all. The map seems to be very handy for a good turtling strategy.
Yes. Although, because he is going for a heavy structure deck, it does mean that Shooflypi has a couple of free expansions up into the rights of his base, and then perhaps in one of the corners of the map it will be tricky for Hunter to contest those because his army value will be lower if he invests heavily into structures.
Yes, I think if Shoofly if Shoofly goes for a contain, he will be able to cut Hunter off and will just out-eco him. I think it's a bit over-emphasized how much the Blue Commander or Bellafeed provides with food. It is all cancelled out with just one farm.
Yes, I do think it is a bit too easy to say, oh, I get extra food, I'm going to go and build a bunch of structures because that's the best thing to do. I think that when playing the Blue Commander Bellafeed, it's probably just best to play a standard game, and having that little bit of extra food just make the game easier for you.
Another option that a Bellafeed player has is to constantly expand his defensive structures to basically reinforce the front line and remove the back line.
Yes. Although in this case, Shooflypi has basically locked out Hunter from doing this by putting his army up in front, so they will be able to take out any forward structures that Hunter will go for. Now if we go back to what's actually happening in the game, you can see that Hunter went for a very early Badger. In fact, it was the first warren he placed was a Badger, where Shooflypi is going for a more standard mix of squirrels and then a pigeon warren, and he's now adding in some skunks.
The lizards will be a huge thing to tank as tanks for the Badger, which means that if Hunter manages it properly, that then Shoofly might even lose.
He has a shot at this. He runs around the barbed wire, which is the right play. Now we have to see how much damage his Badger can end up doing. Unfortunately, all of the meat shield is already dead, but the Badger is going to town on the squirrels, and is going to live? All Shooflypi had to do was shoot it two more times,
One more time, actually. It
Or
was
one more
re-HP.
time with a squirrel, yeah. And that would have been it. But he somehow did not kill it, which is a huge deal for Hunter. So now he can just heal up. He's going to take out the barbed wire, which I think is the right play, depending on how
I
hard he
think
commits
so
to
too,
this.
because when Shoofly considers... Oh.
Well.
Oh.
So unfortunately, Hunter did lose his badger in that engagement and only killed 2 of the barbed wire. It probably was a good idea to take that fight because he did have the backup of 2 sniper balloons, but his lizard screen, so to say, was not strong enough to really soak up too much damage until his badger actually went down.
It might would have been a good consideration to draw back in before everything died, so that, I mean, not only the badger, but also some lizards.
Yes.
Because the snipers would have probably been able to take at least a couple of units with them before Shoofly realizes what happens.
Yeah, if he could have done that, it would have been a lot better, but unfortunately, he misplayed it a little bit. Now, Shooflypi does have 1 extra farm, which at this point I say would nullify the Bellafeed advantage. And Hunter
True.
is down to, well, he's down to 4 right now because his initial 4 farms have timed out. Oh, but he does get the badger onto the base. He does get poisoned though, so this badger is going to die, but it takes out. Oof, that was a glorious death for the badger. Taking out a
Definitely.
skunk, a snake, a couple of pigs.
That brings Hunter again into the upper half of the eco game.
Yep.
With 4.5 farms against 3. 50% more eco. You'll see how this plays out for him.
Yeah, Hunter definitely made the right call there, making his badger go out in a blaze of glory. And now he's trying to overrun Shooflypi, but his lizards just don't quite get to do the job. Unfortunately, he has to, in order for him to fight, he has to leave his defensive line, which he has invested pretty heavily in.
Yeah, I think that given that Hunter placed this on time, that he might actually get to... Wait, I think it is already game, considering that he has a badger on the enemy base again.
Yes, if this badger... No, this badger isn't going to die. Although it did get... oh no, it wasn't skunk poison. There's no more snakes for Shooflypi, so this is probably game, because this badger can just rampage through everything Shooflypi has at this point. He only has a single skunk, which is now dead as well. We'll see if he somehow tries to recover. Building a bunch of squirrels.
CHEWBACCA is starving right now, we can't forget that.
This is true, he has very limited time to take out this base, but it... Yeah, okay, so Shooflypi did surrender. Yeah, that was really clutch actually.
Yes,
And
it would have been actually even very close if this game would have been overextended. CHEWBACCA would have had no chance to win other than selling his badger. Or lizards, for that matter.
probably better to sell the lizards at that point in the game, but I think Hunter did play around the fact that he did have a little bit of extra income and did not expand at all and just played all of that on one base and did end up pulling out the win.
Yeah, I was experimenting with how powerful one base players would be with Bellafeed, because one base players are already quite powerful in certain maps on Tooth and Tail. So with Bellafeed's addition of an extra 0.5 farm for no cost at all, it really allows you to do a lot with that one base.
Yeah. And the double balloons on the single entrance to your base prevent you from scouting anything.
Yeah, that was the plan. As we saw in, what was it, July Joust with the chameleons and stuff. Oh, that was ridiculous. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Good stuff.
All right.
That was
Well,
a fun one.